How has your past few weeks been? I guess you've been pretty busy.
Yeah, yeah, we have this song together with Harry, and then I also have that's how you pronounce his name, right?
Yeah, it's like English way would be Harry, and then if you said it like in Swamixy, it would be like Hattie. But I can't.
Patty.
It's hard for me to pronounce the R's.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, my week's been kind of busy, but I'm happy. I'm happy when there's a lot of music to be had, and just kind of forcing myself to write at times and switching around to the projects that feel like my mood at the moment. So yeah.
okay, well that's cool. Before we get into the topic today, I guess I got to say the same thing because I've been very busy as well with navigating my way through different collaborations. Like I'm looking forward to the one with you and Harry, but I've been also working on a few other projects. And then the good thing about working alone is that you can work on things with on your own way, on your own time, and on your own schedule without any like without having to wait or rely on other people. So
Hmm.
if you are able to do things where you're not collaborating with people, it's actually not as like scary or bad as one might think because you have the option of doing stuff on your own time. I don't know. Have you ever done stuff like just on your own where nobody you're not relying on anybody else?
Yeah, I have a few songs like that, and it's nice to sit down with it and span it out over a long period of time if I really want to. And it tends to be that way because I want to perfect it. If it's just me, like mixing, mastering, writing, producing, all of the stuff, then I tend to take a little bit more of my time because it's like, well, I want it to be perfect, the best that I can get it. But yeah, I love it.
Yeah, and now that I've been doing that a lot, and for my own stuff where I'm not really relying on other people to mix it per se, I've been learning about some new techniques and like there's this there's a app called or a plugin called Isotope. Have you heard of
Yeah,
Isotope?
yeah.
Yeah, so like they have a free version of it
Okay.
until July 8th. I think I'm going to download it so I can start using it. Um, because I guess today there's a lot of like AI is incorporated in a lot of plugins, and
Mm-hmm.
it kind of gets things to a good starting point at least, and then you can tweak things from there. But anyway, that's a whole other topic. So today, I wanted to talk about music artists' goals. So well, I was just wondering. So when you hear like a music artist goal, what comes to your mind at first?
Honestly, like my own vinyl and like completing a second album, like that's my goal. And I feel like a lot of people have that goal where they might want to hold a vinyl, or they might want to, have an album that's like maybe all studio produced, or like, getting to that album. Because I feel like in contemporary times, we tend to release singles or a lot of EPs, and it's hard to get so much music together to make like an anthology of like a period of, in your life that like, meant so much. It's like I look back at my first album and it was a lot of demos, but I can still look back at it and be like, oh yeah, I remember back in 2020, like that point in my life. And it's just so beautiful to look back on, no matter how, sloppy some of the songs are. So I just, you know, that's what I think a lot of people have goals of. It's just an album.
Okay. Um, Now that you've heard that you've been simmering with the topic and you came up with that, any other does anything else come to mind
I'm
other than
like, yeah, like touring, wanting to go like on tour. And because I've never been on tour, I've done a very few shows here in LA, and I think it would be cool to play with like other people and meet more musicians, and like travel a little bit. I wouldn't want to go like for months. I'd go for maybe like a few weeks, maybe at the most. I wouldn't, a few days would be ideal. Maybe like a few like, East Coast and like a few West Coast, maybe something in between, and like that's it. Would be really, that'd be fun, I guess. I would assume.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's a do you like okay, when we're talking about music artist goals, do
Hmm.
you ever ponder about like a like what your long-term goal would be, or where you would want to be ideally, possibly, or is that something that you're kind of not really thinking about?
Um,
That's I know that's a tough. That's like
no,
it's like
I,
you don't want to reveal too much, right? Like do you want to be sipping martinis by a pool with a Lamborghini in a mansion because of a song that broke? Like no, maybe not, but like a long term goal. Like what would like Tommy Lee has a Starbucks in his house, right? So
um, yeah. So all of this, and I'm so honest. I feel like music is art. And I'm going to back up from the monetary aspect of it. And any of my
okay,
goals that are long term have nothing to do with money. Imagine that. Nothing to do with money. I want to be more comfortable producing, maybe something that's slightly more monetary, like get a better studio set up at my house and like just feel more comfortable in making my art. I want a really good long term goal is to just keep doing this because time, life, actual things, maybe if it doesn't, it's, money's never really been a goal. I mean, I like, I'll go in and out of like sync licensing and like 1 week I'll be all in and like doing so much work, and then the next week it's like I just take a break. But yeah, all my goals, I don't think having a Starbucks in my house is going to make me happy. I mean, I like Starbucks, but I think I just like making music more. Like even with AI and like thinking, is AI going to take all of our music and take all our jobs? I'm still going to be making music. I'm still going to be here because I love it. That's why. I just want to keep doing it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, that's no, that's good to hear. You said something about AI, and I was thinking about it the other day. I can't remember what it was. It was something. I was thinking about something about how it's writing writing. So, oh yeah, that's right. Um, I think you might have brought you. Yeah, I was thinking about something that you said. So, but when you use AI, I was thinking this is what I was thinking because I was walk. So I walk to my studio every day. It takes me about 35 minutes. But for me, it's like I don't have a phone and I just walk and I just like enjoy my walk to the studio and my walk home too. So it's like it's almost like driving to work, you know what I mean? And I was thinking about how people are using AI, and then when I was looking at the surroundings around me, like billboards, and then thinking about TV commercials, because a lot of good songs have been written from watching a stupid TV commercial and then writing a song about it, or you see a billboard and you see like this catchy slogan, and then you're like, oh, and then that gives you an idea for a hook of a song. But then I was thinking, well, asking AI is no different, right?
Hmm.
But then I came to the conclusion, in my opinion, as of this week, that maybe it is though, because I don't walk around asking the billboards to give me song ideas. So I think that's where like this like yes, I will use a billboard to write a song or something that I saw on TV, but I didn't ask the TV to give me ideas. But I can do that with AI. So I think AI, there's like, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that I don't know, like I'm still confused about it because it's obviously it's a few years old now, so
Yeah.
it's pretty new.
I I get what you're saying, and it's really advanced. It analyzes things now. It's crazy, but I get what you're saying, and I find that problem too. Is why I kind of stopped using it, unless it's like
Okay.
mastering. But so when you're just walking around in life, you're going to be presented with new things, and your reaction to the stimulus is going to evoke something in you. When you're typing something into AI, it's biased because you already. I could say all I want. Write me a goth rock ballad in the style of music artist Courtney Nord, and
Yeah.
it's going to give me the same stuff, and I don't want the same stuff all the time. I want something new. And it's made to be predictable. It's made to sample things. It's made to give you
Right.
what you want. I want something that's new if I'm looking for inspiration. Like I'll read a book or I will go take a day trip somewhere if I can, have the free time. That's more valuable.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I agree. I agree with you. I think it's just using the AI, like I said, isotope and learning about the different mastering programs and mixing and even plugins and stuff like. Oh yeah, I'm all about like using AI, and I am going to download Isotope and try it out.
Yeah.
but then using it to specifically write lyrics, I guess, yeah, like I guess the element of randomly walking down the street and seeing a billboard and then getting inspired from that, that's like, that's the act of being a human that is lacking from the AI, because I would have never, if I didn't walk down a certain street on a certain day, I wouldn't have randomly just happened to look up at that moment to see a sign that was in somebody's window.
Yeah,
And
and
it's,
AI, yeah, it can't give you the sensory. It can't give you the smell in the air, that chill,
yeah.
or that feeling of the sun or whatever it is. It can't do all of that. It's just words.
And so I was thinking about that, and I was thinking about you, and then I was like, and I had an idea for a podcast. I think I might start one called like, um, the last human songwriter. The podcast is going to be called something like that, where I'm just, and like, it's a very vague name, but it's a good name because it's going to be just about song. Like, I'm just going to talk about songwriting and how, and music, and before, like, because humans and AI are starting to like get into a crossroads.
Hmm.
And I know I'm veering off the subject today, but it's just interesting because I wonder where is going to be. I'm not claiming to be the last human songwriter by any means, but I'm just wondering where that, like, who is going to be. Like, eventually there might be somebody where they were the last human songwriter.
Hmm.
At some point that, like, that's probably going to happen, and I wonder who that might be. It might be just some random person. It might be a famous person. Who knows? But it just seems like we're going in that direction, and I wonder what people's thoughts are, like,
Yeah.
how human is your songwriting today compared to,
Yeah.
because then I'm like, listening to, like, oh, if you listen to a Led Zeppelin song, like, there's probably most likely not going to be any elements of AI in a Led Zeppelin song.
Yeah. Sorry,
But
I'm
if you listen,
taking a house tour right now. I'm kind of distracted. I agree though.
uh,
Like there's certain elements that I think people, it's just like how people have gone back to like vinyl and stuff, is because
yeah,
something that's tradition and something that's like human is a lot more valuable than just trying to like ask a computer or have a computer generate something, and it's just copying what's already been done. And we are the true innovators, I think. And no matter how much AI can develop itself, I feel like a lot of people connect to the artist and the artistry. A lot of people might not like listen to a lot of my music, but they like who I am and they believe in my journey, which is also part of it, like just connection.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And so, I mean, I think that's a whole other show, and I know we don't have much time today, but like, going back to the goals, like money. When I think of goals, I do think of like outcomes, or where I would want to be in maybe
Yeah.
10 or years. So I personally think about that, but I also think about short-term goals too. And like you said, for me, vinyl, I would love to have a vinyl one day of my own stuff. Um, you know, building up more of a catalog, whether it's with collaborations or my own music. um, just getting a grasp on using social media. Like, for example, the song we're doing with Harry, he's got
Mhm.
this great idea for how he wants to perceive himself, and as an introvert, I think there's still a way to do it, because I think at the end of the day, like, if you're not on social media with, you're going to miss out a possible audience. Like, let's just face it. Like, if you just never, if you lived under a rock, you would only have, it would be very difficult. Like, even if your songs are great, it's going to be very difficult for other people to hear it if you're not even on social media to promote the fact that you have these songs. So
Yeah.
I think what his idea was, and I don't want to give up his idea or whatever, it's not a big deal, but if you're going to be like a random, like, unknown, but you're on social media as an unknown, maybe that's a good way to do it. Like, because people do it all the time. Like, they wear costumes or masks or
Hmm.
something where you don't know who it is, maybe, or you do know who it is, but like, they're it's just, it's an interesting way, like, to be on social media without being on social media, I guess. how can you do that? I don't know, but I guess we'll find out how Harry's going to do it, because that's what he wants to do. He doesn't really want to be himself, which is an artist thing to do, I guess. It's not my thing. Obviously, I'm here, you're here, we're here, we're us. But some people don't want to do that, and I get it. Like Slipknot, I guess they do that, right? They wear masks, and maybe we know who they are, or if we don't, I don't know. It's interesting, but that's a goal. A goal of mine is to do a song, to do more songs with Harry and see how he's going to present himself on social media. I'm interested in finding that out. So that's a goal. So I think working on the song with you and Harry, that'll probably help us get closer to it, because eventually he's going to have to put it out. Yeah. And then we're going to see what happens.
I think if you have music, your success is always going to be more likely, despite how much exposure you get. Because I know a lot of people who are backed by labels, and their music, in my opinion, is like pretty mediocre. Like, I hate saying it. I'm sure I've enjoyed a few of their songs, but it's like it lacks depth. A lot of it's repetitive. You can tell they're working on like deadlines with like quotas, and it's like, okay, you have to do that. But yeah, there's something to be said too about, like, because I live in a really small town. There's like 2,000 people here, I think, at the most, and there's a big like rock and roll kind of scene here, which is interesting because the demographic is a little bit older than me. And you go to the local bar or the local like cafe, and they have like a little tiny stage, and people play there all the time. And I've debated it. I'm like, you know what? I could, like, why am I above that? And I feel like when I was more broke, I had more monetary goals. But now that I feel like I'm a little bit more stable and I have the money to like try and plan things out for once, it's like my goals have changed. So when you asked earlier about my long-term goals, it's like, a week or maybe like a month ago, yeah, it would have been like, I want to make a lot of money. I want to be able to, make a music video and like plan these things up. But now it's like, I want to have a sustainable life and a sustainable artistry, but however that might present itself. And, playing like a local show, or like disappearing or working under a mask, or maybe I become like some folk, artist with my acoustic guitar and like have a separate page and nobody knows that it's me, or like I hide my face or something. I would totally be down to do that maybe one day, but like for now, my artist name is like my government name.
Yeah. It's interesting because I've seen some podcasts where people are talking about specifically artists and how they are. And, I do it myself. Like, a lot of the stuff that we do as artists, like, it's all in our head. And like, we think like, oh, I don't want to go play this show down the street because they might. It's like nobody knows what you're doing. Nobody knows what you're doing. Nobody really, really cares what you're doing per se. Yeah. So like, you got to get it out of your head. And I'm talking about myself and other artists. Like, we got to stop thinking about like overthinking who we are, because that's all we do as artists is we just think about what we're doing, and we just assume that everybody's thinking the same thing. Like, they're in our heads and they know what's going on. And like, oh my God, if I go play this local bar, like what's going to happen? No. I think if we step back, I think that we're going to realize that everybody else is busy making dinner, talking to their friends, going to the gym. Like, they don't care. Like they care, but they're not thinking about it like we are as artists. Exactly. And I would say definitely do it. Like I've said this before. I mean, one of the best things that I've ever done was back in 2018 when I was living in northern Finland and I was playing open mic nights like 3 nights a week in 3 different places. I wasn't getting anything for any of those shows, but what I was getting to discover my voice and who I am by going out and playing in the crappy places where there was 3 people. And I knew that if I go every week, I have to figure out a way to entertain those same 3 people that are always there, that are always going to be like, come on, when's Matty going to be done? Because I want to go up and play. And that was, for me, it was awesome. I'm so happy I did it. Like, if I would have went under the assumption like, I was just playing in Fuckface Unstoppable in front of like all these people, and I'm not going to go play in front of some open mic night, then I would have missed out on that. And I would have probably never been writing songs today, Yeah. So I'm so happy that I did that. And I think artists do that a lot. We think, we think so much about ourselves that we just think that everybody else is already thinking about what we're thinking about, and they're
Yeah,
not.
we're our own worst enemy when it comes down to it. And I've noticed, like, the more shows that I've done, the more I understand who I am as an artist. Because I'm more of a studio rat, as they say. I just keep making new songs, and I don't ever really perform them, very rarely. And I've noticed now it's like I get a better performance if I'm in the booth and I act like I'm on stage. But I get a better performance if I'm on stage and act like I'm in the booth because I'm more comfortable there. It's like it's an interesting balance. Like if I'm on stage and it's like if for whatever reason I feel nervous, which I haven't really the last few shows, but like, you know, act like I'm, you know, and it helps me with my tonality too because I'll tend to like, you know, over project and lose my pitch and like, you know, whatever in the first few songs. But yeah, I think everyone should try and like play shows regardless, you know, even if it's a small, like whatever, even if you're like what busking, like try it, do it.
Yeah, I always would. I will never. I don't want to say never, but I would rarely want to pass down an opportunity to play
Mm-hmm.
this guitar at any show like tonight, tomorrow. I'll do it because it did as long as I have time and I can do it. You know, like if I can, I can't. But at the end of the day, it's always great to see new faces and trying new songs in front of people just to see, you know, what people like. Um, one one thing about the studio, like for example, when I was recording the album that I did with Andy, the Jukebox Junkies album, and I had to do vocals for two of the songs. I did the vocals in the studio in front of Andy and in front of the producer, and I just did them all. I don't want to say that it was the highlight of my performance. I liked the vocals; they turned out really good. So, and I did them in like 15 minutes probably. Now, last week I was in the studio doing a song and I did the vocal tracks over and over and stop, record, stop, record, stop, record,
Mm-hmm.
stop, record, stop, record, stop, record, stop, record for hours, right? And what did I get out of that? It's interesting, like you said, pretending that you're on stage. Like I had to sing in front of Andy and a producer and the engineer, so it was like I was like almost performing because like I couldn't like tuck myself away and like go in the other room and hit play and record and fix it. I had to just do it. And I did it. And the performance came out just as good as if I spent 7 hours hitting stop and play and stop and play and stop and play. So it's interesting how, yeah, like when you're in the studio, like if you're doing it in under different circumstances, you can still get the same results even if you spend less time working on it because just because of where you are or who's watching you. Because you know, if you're like, I like being in the studio by myself when there's nobody there. That's the best.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I'm happy. But
Same.
you know, when people are there, it makes you be like, all right, like everybody's watching me. Like I better do this, or I'm gonna look like an ass. You know what I mean? So it's a different. It's interesting that you bring that up because I feel the same way.
Yeah, somebody said experience is the best way to learn about ourselves. We're constantly evolving. Yeah, my style has changed a lot. The way that I perform my vocals has changed a lot. I've leaned more towards like alternative rock styles as the time that I was growing up, what alternative rock looked like, which was like emo. Which cool, it totally fits because it's like, you know, I'm more emotional. It's like I could take like these, you know, dark pop vocals and like put this. The more you do it, the more you understand who you are for sure. But yeah, I think like sometimes, like, very rarely, I'll go into the studio like with Adam, and he's a producer, engineer, mixer, and he does session playing too. He does the whole thing, and I'm just sitting in there writing the vocals and like trying to top line these songs. And rarely I'll just flesh out the whole song within like 4 hours. I think was our or like 5 hours was probably the shortest time where we actually had the whole song like written and like ready to start mixing. But like that doesn't happen all the time, and I tend to try to beat myself up if we get into the studio and I can't finish the writing and be happy with it in a certain amount of time. And that's something else I'm learning about myself is like I'm a really picky writer. Like I really listen to the lyrics. I really want to have a good like flow. I want to have something that's something I would want to listen to. And like he'll be like, "Oh, you're being a perfectionist," and I'm like, "Yes, I am, because I'm gonna have to listen to this. I want to be happy with it. I'm gonna take my time until, you know, it's something that's worthy of having it out there. And I used to rush things. I used to do a lot of like freestyles, and I still will sometimes, but I'm learning more about myself that I like to take the time to write and then rewrite and then understand the plot and then write again, kind of a thing.
It's all learning experiences, and you can learn something and then learn something else and learn three more things and then go back to the thing that you learned four times ago and relearn it again because you're like, oh yeah, like that's why I did that because it did this. So I feel you. I do the same thing, whether you want to rush a song just because you want to get it done, but you don't want to lose the integrity of the sonic
Yeah.
boom that the song can, there's so many variables, and it's why art, when we talk about money, it's really why, a good song, it's a good song, and it's a good song for a reason because it took somebody time, and even if it took you 15 minutes to do the entire song, it still took you, 10 years to get to that 15 minutes. You know what I mean? So
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah. But hey, look, I know that today you were in a bit of a rush, and I think today's show is great. I'm going to try to get it up on the Radio YouTube channel, and like I said, maybe I'll start this Last Human Songwriter podcast on my own. It'll be interesting, but I'm looking forward to this week because I got the Mac is coming on, and I know Mac Glockley wanted to do. We want to do it. We want to have you come on eventually, or whenever we can work this out, where you could be coming on the show because I'm interested in doing that. And obviously, the first thing I said to Mac was like, yeah, we could do a music collaboration too, because you know me, I just want to do music all the time. So maybe we could do something, but for now, we should definitely just do a live stream together, me,
Yeah.
you, and Mac, because that'll be cool. To
Yeah, our
see.
schedules are a bit conflicting because it's like he's free on the weekends and I'm more like on the weekdays in the morning, which is
Yeah,
terrible for everybody, but yeah, we'll figure
I
it
know,
out.
but we'll figure it out. It'll happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you for joining me today on our show, and also I'm looking forward to doing this again next week. And I know that we missed a week, but hey, that's how life happens, and that's what we
Yeah.
do. But we will continue to do these, and I hope that I have a good topic for next week. I thought today's topic was good because sometimes I just want to reflect on the goals that I've been trying to work towards to see where I'm at, because not all the time I can achieve the goals that I'm trying to achieve. But it's okay because we can't always do everything 100%, So,
Yeah. All right.
but yeah, anyway, thank you all for joining us, Mag 622 and Black White Dream. Everybody, guys and gals, we will see you on the next live stream. Matty and Courtney show. Rock and roll. Bye bye.
Bye.